What's up? Welcome back to the Weekly Bugle podcast, where I'm Tyler, one of the co-hosts.
And I am your other co-host, Jesse.
And today we decided to kind of switch it up a little bit. The last three episodes, two for the pod, three for the pod, two if you follow us on YouTube. Having trouble with that and the copyright. That's another podcast for itself.
Yeah.
But we're kind of switch it up today. Jesse, you want to explain how we're doing it?
Yeah, we felt like maybe we were getting a little too recappy in the last episodes, going scene by scene and maybe not having as much to discuss. So, what we want to try this episode is to maybe talk about the highlights and maybe go have a little bit more conversation over some of the big aspects of the show. And so we'll see how that goes. And so a little bit of a different format today. And I think the first big scene or noteworthy event in general is the Wakandans or the Dora Milaje
Yes.
showing up very unexpectedly in the last episode, but we see that bleed over into episode 4 a little bit. So our first scene of the episode, in fact, is a flashback where Bucky is, or I guess you said her name was Ao
Ayo,
specifically.
yeah. Like, you know
Ao.
that song with Justin Timberlake and just Ayo.
Oh yeah, AO Technologies.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's how I
I can
remember
remember
it.
that now.
Yeah.
So AO is basically reading off the trigger words to Bucky, just to pretty much check to make sure that Bucky is in fact cured from the brainwashing from the Russians. And first off, this episode or this scene, I think is the best display of acting we've seen from Sebastian Stan.
In the entire MCU. And
Yeah,
I don't even think that's like stretching because he's sitting there, he's tearing up. You can see the frustration in his face. Um, I put I wrote, 6 years ago. By the way, this episode's called The Whole World is Watching. It's episode 4. And it also starts off with 6 years ago when he's in Wakanda. He still has his one arm. And like you said, Ao starts saying the words, and Bucky's fighting, those tears, and he's crying on cue. You can see like he has that vein in the middle of his head popping out. Um, I wrote he's remembering Civil War, and I also wrote that he's remembering Civil War, and that it doesn't work. And I felt like when she continues to say those words and they don't transfer him back to that Hydra state, it was a sense of relief for him.
yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I like how they kind of intercut different flashbacks from the different movies, and you can kind of just see the past traumatic events that he's had. And yeah, you can feel every memory in Sebastian Stan's face. Every new word that pops up, he's extremely nervous that he's going to get triggered. Also, I like how confident Ao is that she's like, yeah, if it doesn't work and he Winter Soldiers out, I can take him down.
Yeah,
And I
100.
believe her. She's
And
scary.
she's the only one there too. There was nobody unless like,
Yeah,
they're hiding like around because
that's
Wakandans are
true.
really good at like, sneaking around and stuff. But she is, she's tough. So she could definitely take him with especially when he doesn't have his metal arm.
Yeah, that's true too. And I guess that I forgot about that. He doesn't have the arm at this point. I
Yeah,
guess maybe they wanted to make sure that he was, good and cured before they gave him a good weapon.
yeah.
So,
Uh, go ahead.
oh yeah. So, but basically, it proves the trigger words don't do anything, and it proves that he's cured. And I love the relief from his face when Ao, what does she say that you're free or something like that?
Yeah.
And and I think it's nice, and it shows why Bucky was so confident to walk into Zemo's cell a couple episodes ago because
Hmm.
everyone knows Zemo's going to hit you with the words immediately to see if he can trigger a response. But yeah, Bucky just walking in there like it's no problem because he already knows they've tested it.
Yeah.
So I think that episode a little bit more
And
legitimacy.
I wonder how many times they actually tested it and then Bucky still turned into that state. Like we don't get to see that.
That's
But
true.
I'm sure, that wasn't the one and only like, first try it ends right there. I'm sure he transformed multiple times and Ao had to just knock his ass out. And like and that's probably why she's so confident, being there by herself with him.
I don't know. I sure he's pretty good at what she does. They had him in
Yeah.
that cryo sleep for a while, so maybe she was like, yeah, he's ready, but there's kind of like a double check sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I'm sure but at the same time, like that's sure like you said, Shuri's great at what she does, but I don't know, like, since it's something that's so old, it's Hydra, there's not much known besides what Zemo knows.
That's true.
How many times she had to, like, go in, twist a couple knobs, twist, tighten something up, loosen something to, like, kinda make it work before it actually did work.
Yeah, and we don't even know how she did it. I
Yeah,
doubt that
no.
they would want to even discuss it because it just invites so many criticisms and like weird,
Yeah.
comic book logics to it. I always just picture it almost like you remember how when she was trying to fix Vision and like separate him from the gem and
Yeah.
there's like all these lasers and wires. I picture that but with like Bucky's brain. But I don't know how exactly.
Oh,
We're
that
just meant to believe she
well,
fixed him.
do you remember when, I think it's Iron Man 2 where he makes the new element and he, like, expands it and it's like a brain?
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
So it'd be something like that.
Yeah, it could be.
But
But
yeah, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, just in case if it's been a while since you've watched some of the movies and you're a little bit confused, especially with some of the other parts of the episodes, I don't remember was it Infinity War, but it's the Wakandans are the ones that gave Bucky
Mhm.
his new vibranium arm.
That was
So
Infinity War.
that was Infinity War, yeah. So just that's an important scene that will make more sense with the Dora Milaje. Since we might as well talk about that fight scene where they show up now.
Well, I thought there's still the present day of Bucky kind of being Oil
Oh
being
yeah,
upset with Bucky before we jump to that.
okay.
I know we're going scene by scene, but this is just kind of like they tied into one.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, we're adapting.
yeah. Oil is so that was a flashback. This brings you back to present day, and Oil's kind of she's upset with Bucky because he's no longer in the German prison. I, th-
Or
maybe the
Zemo is no longer in the.
yeah Zemo,
Mhm,
excuse me, Zemo's longer in the German prison. So it looks like the Wakandans were okay, with Zemo killing T'Chaka, the king at that time, as long as he was in some type of prison, as long as he wasn't free to roam. But we also get to see Bucky speaking Wakandan. I don't know if that's like the true language. I just kind of, gave him that. And then we
mhm.
also find out that AO only gives Bucky 8 hours, and then they're gonna come take him,
I think he was lucky to get that.
right? Because they're bad enough. They could have badass enough. They could have just, been like, we're taking him now.
Yeah, and you could see that the death of King T'Chaka has really affected them
Yeah,
because AO is basically speaking for the Dora Milaje that they were entrusted to protect him, and they didn't. So, so yeah, seeing Zemo free is definitely a big problem, and it makes sense that they would want to show up, especially when it's Bucky who's helped Zemo
yeah,
be
because
released
they
because
helped Bucky
they did so much for
and
him.
then gave him an arm.
Yeah, exactly. So they've done a lot for him, so it could almost feel like a betrayal. But I do think AO at least can understand a little bit of what Bucky's doing. I'm surprised Bucky didn't really. I don't know. I
Explain
guess
it
he
to her.
couldn't really explain the whole situation. She probably doesn't care. She's
No,
probably very black and white of he needs to be.
in prison are dead.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, but at least they have Bucky and AO have at least a little bit of a mutual understanding. Is that I think a means to an end when Bucky says that seemed to be the something that AO understood. But yeah, 8 hours.
8 hours. So
It is funny that Bucky immediately goes back in to where Zemo and Sam are, and he's like, "Hey, the Wakandans were here." Like he just immediately, I like alert Zemo to it. I don't know why you would do that, but
well, I mean, I think it'd be worse if they're out and then Wakandas just pop up and like Bucky's like, "Oh, hey, it's been 8 hours already," and they're like, "How did you know?" Like,
yeah,
and especially Sam being like so like his friend, even though they're not seeing eye to eye with everything, I think it's important that he at least shares that with Sam, just
yeah,
because Zemo didn't have to know, but as long as Sam knows, because I think that like would make it even worse, betrayal if Sam didn't know.
yeah. I should. Yeah, I think he should have maybe taken Sam to the side and been like, "Hey, the Wakandans are after us." I think maybe he was trying to scare Zemo a little bit with that,
Hmm.
but also I think he gave Zemo the ammunition to plot a little bit better
Yeah, which he
because
does.
like I don't know that he would have held as much information as close to the chest as he would have. I think knowing that the Wakandans are after him, he knows he needs more leverage. I don't know that he necessarily would have played it that way
Yeah.
otherwise.
But that brings us to like the a really cool scene that with the Wakandans fighting Walker, Lamar, Bucky, Sam, and Zemo kind of skedaddles like midway through the fight.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I
go ahead.
it's a really interesting fight, or it's a fun fight. I don't know. There's a lot going on in this because yeah, like you said, Walker and Lamar bust in. They're arguing. Bucky, Sam, Lamar, John, and Zemo's just kind of standing there. Dora Milaje randomly pop up because the 8 hours is up, and yeah, you just get like this weird battling in between. Well, it's really Walker and the Dora Milaje at first because he's so dumb and arrogant that he's like, I don't, what he puts his hand on Ao, doesn't he, or is it one of the other Wakandans?
Well, I think it starts off with like Walker kicks the door open and he wants Zemo to be turned over to him, and then he's ready to fight, and then the Wakandas walk in right after him,
Hmm.
and then Walker, he's like trying to like de-escalate everything, and I don't remember. I think he sets his shield down, and he's
He
like,
does before he fights Sam,
"Ye-
because remember they were
"Okay,
getting really
yeah,
confrontational, and he wanted to even it, kind of like how Steve did with Batroc, but
yes,"
Batroc called him to do that. So
and then the Wakandas break in and kind of break up the fight, and Walker introduced himself,
right,
and then I don't remember exactly how it started fighting, or how the fighting started. I don't know if he like, he's under my protection, or like, you guys can't have him. We're not done with him quite yet. Or maybe he did touch Oyo, and then that's when the fight kicked off.
it was
Or
both. It was
maybe he was like,
Walker.
put your pointy spears down. I think he said something like that.
Well, they throw a spear at John Walker first,
Hmm.
and he's kind of like he's kind of put on the edge, and then he's telling them that they don't have jurisdiction and things like that, but it's as soon as he puts his hand on Ao that's kind of like the
Last
don't,
straw.
yeah, don't touch them because that can be considered a fighting thing. It's like
It's
how the
aggressive.
haunted house people can't touch you kind
Yes.
of thing. So yeah, and that pretty much kicks off the fight. But yeah, for the most part, it's just John versus the Dora Milaje. And I love how Sam and Bucky are just kind of sitting there. Bucky's heckling John.
Uh huh.
Zemo's sipping on some scotch or whatever and just
And
watching.
Bucky's like, come on, like you don't really have to do this. Like he's like Bucky, I think was trying to diffuse the situation. And
He
then he
was, yeah.
he even tried to he even joined in, and he like, uh, he gets his arm taken off, which is like a really point that I want to speak about, because I found a tweet that like just embodies that moment, like when his arm comes off, and I want to read it. But uh, during the fight, even Sam jumps in, and after the end of the fight, Walker just looks like he's shocked, he's shook, he, he's like he can't believe how he got his ass kicked by two women, two bald-headed black women, basically,
Hmm.
and that have spears, and they're
Yeah.
not super soldiers, because he's like, they're not even super soldiers, like, because I think he thinks, he's Captain America, and I put that in quote for our audio fans, that he, he has like a right to, like, not a right to win, but having this title, that everything's gonna just kind of roll towards him. Like he's gonna get the benefit of everything, and he's gonna be able to diffuse situations, or he's gonna just win because he's quote unquote Captain America.
Yeah. Yeah, he takes it to heart quite a lot. Just the fact of losing. I think he's definitely a sore loser and expects to win and be at the top of his game. So yeah, this is definitely a big ego hit for John when he's getting whooped on by the Dor Milaje. I
Yeah.
don't think he understands them. Really, I think I think it was Sam said, "John, you probably fight Bucky before you fight the Dor Milaje." And he's
Yeah.
absolutely right. Dor Milaje do not play around, and they're some badass women. So, yeah, if he's going to lose to anyone, it's kind of like it makes sense to lose to them because
Yeah.
everybody does. So, and
Um. Go ahead.
but no, you go ahead.
No. No. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was just gonna keep adding. I don't even remember now, but I think that kind of sets John up for where we'll see him go later
Yeah.
on, and we'll talk about him more later on. But yeah, just not wanting to lose again is a big like mental aspect of John's story arc within him. So, and then Lamar's kind of right there with him. Lamar was getting whooped on pretty
Oh
bad
yeah.
too, but you kind of expect uh I don't know. Lamar's almost kind of like the sidekick type. So you don't
Lamar, I
expect
feel
too much from him.
well, Lamar in the second episode, first episode, second episode, Lamar gets like captured, kind of, where they grab
Yeah.
him. He's like, he's like, Walker, to like, I need your
Yeah.
help. He gets thrown off the fucking 18 wheeler. You
Yeah.
know, this episode, he gets, like, kidnapped and tied up and, like and killed.
Yeah.
Like, he's like this essential damsel in distress.
He
Like,
yeah.
that's who Walker is, and it's so
Or
upsetting.
Lamar is, yeah.
Yeah, Lamar. Well, I hate Walker, so both of them are to me. But no, Lamar is the damsel in distress, like, repeatedly, over and over on this series so far. I don't know if you thought about that.
I thought about it a little, but I didn't realize just how consistent it was until you
Yeah.
brought it up just now that he is constantly getting, yeah, pinned down, trapped, and needing to be rescued
And,
by
like, he's the
John.
guy that's supposed to watch Captain America's back. Like,
Yeah. But I
um,
think he does serve a different purpose. But we'll talk more about
yeah,
him in a little bit. Your point about Bucky getting his arm taken off by
yeah,
the Wakandans, just they just did like a couple quick, like,
movements. Yeah,
yeah, almost like a, I don't even know what you would call
like a
that. Yeah.
pressure point type deal.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly.
I was, like, scrolling so Wakanda was so today's Monday, we're filming this podcast on Monday, what's the 12th, and Wakanda is trending on Twitter, Wakandans,
Mm,
and so I was like, "What's this about?" So this guy, his name's Stephen Ford, Stephen Sean Ford is his, handle.
okay.
He said, "Wakanda's putting a built-in weakness in Bucky's arm is, like, really messed up. It shows they never fully trusted him. He spent years trying to finally reclaim his autonomy, only to be undermined in an instant by those who helped him. It's just sad." And when you think about it, they when you think about it, they cleared him because we saw that at the very beginning of the episode. They, made sure his mind wasn't, you know, like, tainted anymore.
Mhm.
But then in that instant, them having a back door to take his arm back basically whenever they wanted to shows like they never really trusted him 100% because if he happened to fall back towards being like a criminal, at any moment they could come and take his vibranium arm. And they just never really fully trust him. And it kind of goes back to Bucky's whole psyche of not being, good enough or because if he was good enough, they wouldn't have a failsafe that he had no idea of.
Yeah, I could see two ends of it. So I guess from your perspective, do you see it as a good thing that the Wakandans did that, or do you see that as, you know, kind of like a bad thing?
So, from Bucky's point of view, it's a really shitty move because, I lived with you for however long.
Yeah.
You helped me clear my mind. And then, I learned your language, your native tongue to the point, and then you guys adopted me basically by giving me this white wolf title.
Mhm.
But then, at the end of this, so I felt like I was kind of one of you guys, but then you didn't trust me enough to let me fully have this arm. You had to have a failsafe in it so that you could take it at any time. From his point of view, from the Wakanda's point of view, I think it's vibranium. We all know how they feel about vibranium. It's not for the entire world. It's just for them and to help them better their technology in their world. And so I understand it from their point of view, but the show's not called Wakandans. The show's called
Mhm.
Falcon and Bucky. So I feel like I have to lean more towards Bucky and look at it from his point of view because if it was happening to me, I'd be hella pissed that I didn't
Mhm.
know there was a failsafe in my own arm that I live with every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it on both sides too. I don't view the Wakandans like antagonistically for doing
No,
that.
I don't
I
either.
think it makes sense. I'm sure Stark, anytime he makes any kind of weapons or upgrades for the Avengers, I'm sure he's got little tiny fail safes in here just
Well,
in case it gets turned against him.
do you so there's like I don't know if this was a TikTok or a YouTube video, and it was like Tony Stark. We're kind of getting off tangent, but anytime something happened to Tony Stark, his next suit had an upgrade to help fix that. So
Mhm.
if you remember, like in Iron Man 1, when he kind of fell from the sky, right? He installed a parachute, and we see that like with the parachute with Infinity War when he tried to get what's his face, Spider-Man, or when
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man fell from the Vulture carrier, he installed a parachute,
right.
and then uh, I think he got when Spider-Man kind of got cold, like because he was doing something, I think he fell in the water, you know, he had a suit that warmed him up, or there's just little things that each time. Do you remember in not Infinity War, in Age of Ultron, when he got out of the suit and went to Sentry mode
Mhm.
because of something that happened beforehand where, he needed to have something watch his back.
Right.
So, like, so Tony did learn from each mistake, and it shows throughout his arc in the MCU. But at the same time, you know, the Wakandans. I understand from the Wakandans' point too, though.
Yeah, I think I side with I wasn't too surprised. Yeah, it was shocking. It sucks for Bucky because you're like, okay, there is a weakness in there, and if somebody learns how to do whatever that hand movement was,
Yeah,
then they could dismantle Bucky's arm pretty easily. But I don't know, it makes sense. I think whenever you're the one who's accepting technology from somewhere else, I think that's just something you should expect. I would imagine probably Spider-Man's suit has something Stark related in there. I mean, there was the training wheels protocol
yeah,
that was kind of, but that wasn't really if Spider-Man went AWOL. But you get my point. I think if I was a Wakandan and we were giving this arm to somebody else, we would want to make sure just in case that it doesn't get used against us. Or it kind of goes back to if you think Batman having different plans in place in
for the
case different
Justice League.
members of the Justice League, get taken over. I think it's just kind of smart, and I
Yeah,
think from different heroes' perspectives, we would see it that way, like the way Batman does it. And so, yeah, I don't know. I kind of am okay with the Wakandans being like this. I don't know that it was necessary during this fight. Bucky was really just being kind of defensive, and he
defensive.
was like, "Hey, let's cool this down." They almost
Mhm.
just kind of did it as like a flex, just like a show of strength.
I think
So
Flex is take by taking his arm.
yeah,
I don't know. I just think I look at it as like they adopted him. It's like
yeah,
adopting your own child, but then not fully like, giving your child every tool to succeed, or like
yeah.
adopting them and then, having secrets that, you're living instead of living in you live in a middle class family, but they don't actually know you're rich. So they have to work extra hard to like, become successful economically, economically filled or whatever.
Mhm.
And then, and then on your deathbed, you're like, oh, hey, you didn't have to work that hard. Your ass was rich this entire time.
Oh, yeah.
Like I just look at it like that. Like he was part of their family and they fucked him.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I think it could be foolish to trust that much though, just in case somebody does
Well,
backstab you or maybe they get brainwashed again. I mean, I think if we saw for hypothetically, if we saw an episode where Bucky somehow gets taken over again and now he's, running through, we may hope that the Wakandans have some sort of way to slow him down or I don't know. It's just I think it's maybe smart to not trust 100%, maybe like 95%.
yeah, but
So, which I
I
think is
don't know.
what they're doing. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can see it
I
both
understand.
ways.
I see it both ways, but I think if I had to side more, I'd side more with Bucky versus Wakandas,
I guess
the
that
Dora
makes sense.
Milaje.
Yeah, but overall, I don't see the Wakandans negatively through this. Like, I'm not
Yeah, no,
against
I
them.
understand.
It just
But
shows that Bucky has another weakness that we're now aware of,
where up?
and I
Yeah,
wonder if we will. Did Zemo see that happen, or was he already
no.
hiding?
So that's a great transition because Zemo went to the bathroom and just dipped. And
Yes.
Zemo is actually our next point that we want to talk about.
Hmm.
But yeah, Zemo. I don't think Zemo saw, but Zemo would be the one to
Yeah.
remember that hand movement and redo it.
Yeah, because if he saw that, then that would be he's smart enough to hold on to that information, and I could see that coming up later if he was in fact there. If he
Yeah.
was able to witness that motion, maybe try to replicate it. Although I guess he probably would have been behind them, so maybe he couldn't have really seen what the
Hmm.
motion was. But yeah, regardless, I don't think he saw. So maybe that secret's kept nice and tight between the the Wakandans and
Yeah, the
Bucky.
Dormilage
Yeah,
and Bucky, yeah, and
yeah, like
Falcon. Because
yeah, and
Sam's like,
Falcon, I
"Did
guess.
you know that I could do that?"
Yeah. But yeah, Zemo showing that he's one step ahead as usual. He's the one
Mhm.
that's been kind of calling the shots when they needed a place in this area. I think it's Latvia. He's like, yeah, I know a spot. And he picked a good place because it has a little escape hatch for him and
Yeah.
things go south and he needs to get out of there. So yeah, Zemo still pulling the strings very much, even when you think his back's against the wall. And it's everybody else's fault that he escapes because he's just standing in the back. Walker wants to take Zemo in. The Dora Milaje want to take Zemo,
Mhm.
and everybody just starts fighting each other. So he just slinks off to the side, and
Yeah,
yeah,
essentially, they were their own Trojan horses.
yeah, exactly. And is that the last we see of Zemo in this episode? Is him
Yeah,
bouncing? So
it is. But Zemo was like you said, he's one step ahead. So when Zemo finds out where the Donna Madre, whatever her name
Dora
is.
Milaje.
No, not Dora Milaje.
Oh,
Carly's like
Danya,
Madre, whatever.
Donya. I can't remember her last name.
Yeah, Madre is like Spanish for mom.
Hmm.
I just called her Dora mom, but Donna mom. But Zemo's the one who figured out, where the funeral is going to be held because he bribed fucking children.
Yeah,
Which I want to talk. That song that Zemo sung to like the kids to like bring them over was hella creepy. Like,
yeah, Baba Black Sheep.
yeah, like I was
Mhm.
like, is he have to murder all those fucking children, like torture
Yeah,
and kill them or something? Because it was super creepy. But instead, he turns over a bunch of Turkish candy and gives the kids for information.
yeah, he does it in the most, we know that a predator will show up to kids with candy. Like that's
Yeah,
just the known thing to, yeah, don't take candy from a stranger. And Zemo still manages to pull this off and make it work. So I think it's good from like a symbolic standpoint to show Zemo is the bad guy, even though he seems to be very good
oh, I
with
didn't see
kids and
that.
prying this information. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a reminder of don't trust this guy, sort of.
Well, I don't even think it's just he, like, can pry information from kids, but he can pry information from anybody
Yeah, yeah,
because,
absolutely.
and it just shows how versatile he is because he fucking used like, he got information with candy. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't we've seen in Civil War, he waterboarded somebody upside down, basically. And then all the way to, like, now Imma offer you a bag full of candy for some information. Like, it just shows how versatile and how smart he is.
Well, he probably did this to his son in some way, because you remember he said, like, Turkish delights, they're irresistible, and
Mhm.
later on he says, "Yeah, they're my son's favorite," or something like that.
Yeah.
So, he probably, to get his son to do whatever he needed, like a chore or whatever, I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
hypothesizing
no, I
from
got
here,
you.
but I could see it to where he knows how to, like, I don't know, bribe children because he's had
Yeah.
to do it because he was a father and a
Once upon a
husband at
time.
one point.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, overall, is I like how he's playing all these mind games and he's telling the girl that's given him the information, like, hey, those two men behind me are bad men. They're not to be trusted when it's really the
Him.
flip side. Yeah. So interesting that he's kind of laying the groundwork and really setting things up very good for himself. And yeah, keeping that information as leverage. Sam and Bucky were not able to get this information from anyone. Everybody
No.
else immediately saw through them and immediately like ran out, so they didn't trust them, whatever. And yeah, Zemo was smart. He went straight for the kid. So
So, on another, like, Zemo's opposite side, Zemo kinda, like so he shoots Carly, and I felt like when Zemo was, like, did you wanna talk more about the kids?
no, you can keep going.
Okay. So Zemo shoots Carly in the stomach.
Hmm.
I felt like how, like, lions and cats kinda like, when a cat hunts a mouse, it kinda plays with the mouse before, like, it plays with its food, and
Hmm.
the lion kinda plays with its food sometimes in the wild. I felt like Zemo was preying on or playing with his food because he shoots at Carly a couple times. He shoots her, and instead of going straight for the kill shot, he kind of like shoots around her a little bit, and he does that to kind of break all the super soldier serums or as much as he could. But
I don't think he did it intentionally to make her. I don't think he knew she had the serum on her.
no, I don't think he did. But like he shot a couple times around after after like the serum kind of fell on the floor, all the vials,
Oh,
and then
okay.
I think that was to kind of keep her away. But I felt like he was kind of preying on her, and not like in a religious way, but because he was shooting at her, not to kill right off the bat.
Yeah, I was surprised he only shot her once and it looked like he missed a couple times. I took it to mean that maybe he was like the pressure of the moment, you like this is it sort of thing, and he just kind of whiffed a couple shots. And I remember the cinematography. It looked like a tough shot. Carly's very zippy and she's like jumping over things. She's getting out of the way of the bullets pretty effectively. So
Yeah,
I
but
think he may have just
do you
missed.
think he actually missed, or do you think remember the previous scene where he was fighting like three guys and
Yeah.
he was one shotting them. So and they're like running around and like there's fire going around and everything. So and we have to think in Civil War it was said he had special forces, so which means he has a military background. He has thousands of hours on the range. Do you
Yeah.
really think he couldn't hit some woman that's like 5'4" from like 20 yards away?
Yeah, I don't know. He got her the first time, like
Yeah,
with
but
that
I
first
feel like he
shot.
could have killed her if he wanted to. I think he didn't want to kill her. I think he wanted to like I think he was gonna not torture her, but kind of get more information from her. Like, where did you
Oh,
get this?
maybe.
Where's like, do you have more? And then when he found the virals, that's when he kind of like, let me destroy this because this is my life's work.
Yeah, I could see it. Maybe he did want to keep her because he didn't necessarily go for the kill shot. He shot her in the stomach. So maybe
Hmm.
you're right. He did want to keep her alive to learn where the vials are. But when she accidentally dropped them all, I think at that point, once he was done crushing them, he really had no use for Carly anymore. She's just
Yeah,
another super soldier to wipe off the list. I think at that point, you're right. He probably would have, or I think he definitely would have tried to kill her. But that's when John interrupts him by knocking him out. So,
he takes a fucking money shot with the shield, like straight to the fucking face.
yeah, that was a brutal one. I like how I tried to read Zemo's face when he first sees the vials because if you're in his spot, I imagine there's a lot of thoughts that could be running through your mind. You could take all those vials for yourself. You could, down one and give yourself super soldier strength. You can destroy them. So I wanted to see how much hesitation was on his face. And, he'll later talk about that with Sam. But I didn't read any. I think Zemo looked at it. I think he maybe kind of like assessed the situation
Hmm.
and seemed to just jump right into destroying those. Because I don't know
Yes.
if I was, I mean, they all talk about this later. I guess you and I could discuss it. If it was you and you saw one of those super soldier vials, would you take it or would you stomp it?
Let me tell you, when we're not filming this podcast, I've been watching a show called Navy SEALs, our SEAL
Okay.
team. And they did the most badass shit, right? And I'm like, man, I could have been a SEAL. Like I should have joined the Navy and did this,
Hmm.
right? My ass would have fucking took that shit mad quick.
Yeah.
I would have like, like chugged two of them at the same
Yeah.
time. Like I wanted to be the ultimate one. Like I wouldn't have even thought about that shit. I would have been chugging. What
Yeah.
about you?
Oh, I would have taken it too.
Oh,
Yeah, all
hard,
this
yeah.
like high and mightiness of like not taking it. We don't need super soldiers. I'm taking it. If I would have seen that, I may have destroyed the other vials or maybe kept a couple to myself. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And then you
Would
know
have at
what?
least destroyed the supply a little bit.
What's his face? Steve Rogers was like 5'4" before he took that shit and jumped up to like 6'2", 6'4". I'm five
Yeah.
seven. I want to be 6'2", 6'4".
So
Like
do I. I don't
maybe
think it would work that way for us though.
no, we would.
No, because this Nagel said it doesn't beef you up like it did for Steve. It just
Yeah,
it just makes you like
may,
inherently
maybe
stronger,
if I
but
take
doesn't
two,
change.
maybe if
Maybe.
I take two, adjust me up to like 7'6". I'm just like highly strange, the size
It'd
of
be
a
a
fucking
nice
tree.
change.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
But
I'd take 5'10" at this point.
oh, me too. But jumping back to the episode, yeah, Zemo does destroy the vials without even a hesitant. Like
Yeah.
it's not even a thought. And I honestly thought Zemo was going to take one for himself.
Hmm.
But no, we're wrong. He doesn't. Oh, I'm wrong. He doesn't. He destroys all that he could, which he doesn't destroy. He destroys all but one.
Yeah, which because he overlooked that one.
Yeah, it was like hidden.
I thought there were going to be two vials left. And the reason I thought that was because John and Lamar are both superpowered in the comics. So
Uh
I was
huh.
like, oh, okay, well, both of them will end up. And I saw only one. I was like, that's strange. I guess only John will take it. And it makes a lot more sense now why why
Well,
there was only one. But
yeah. Well, I think I don't remember, but I 100% said Lamar's gonna die. Like,
did you? I don't
yeah,
remember.
I feel like I said Lamar's gonna die,
Maybe. I don't remember.
and I don't know. Damn, I hope I said Lamar's gonna die because I do know for sure. I did say I don't think Lamar's gonna get super powered or like super
Okay.
soldiered, but yeah, I don't think Lamar would have. I think well, we do find out Lamar would have took it if he could have,
Yeah.
but it's not opportune. It just doesn't work out for him like that.
Yeah.
Maybe no, maybe what's his face should have split the viral in half and given half to Walker and he taken half.
See, I was wondering about that. I don't know if it's you need the full dose to get
Yeah.
any effects or half gives you half strength. I don't know if it works that way. So
Imagine only half of them, like, just his one arm gets super strong where he can throw it
that would
versus
suck.
and his other arm like a normal one.
That would be lame. I'd want the Winter Soldier arm in that case to even it
Oh,
out.
yeah, but, the Wakandas, you can't trust them.
That's true.
You ready to move on to the next point?
Yeah, I'll let you
Um,
take that one.
yeah. So Zemo brings up the idea of supremacist. Um, whoever wants to take the super soldier serum wants to rule basically. And how, Carly and her little gang, they want to rule and they want to, be in control of different things. And Bucky kind of not backs up, but like combating that idea. And says, "Well, Steve, never wanted to. Steve, I think I wrote it down, but he basically said Steve didn't want to. Like Steve, he was a good guy overall.
Mhm.
And Zemo agrees. He goes, "You're right, but not everybody's Steve Rogers." And
Right.
so what do you think about that whole idea?
I think so. I guess first, it's interesting to see Zemo's perspective because from what I remember in Civil War, Zemo didn't necessarily hate Captain America per se.
No.
I think he hated how the world puts him on a pedestal when they're destined to fail. Like these are,
Yes.
flawed people that we're treating as perfect people. And there was the whole, seeing some green in Steve Rogers' eyes, like, oh, how nice to find a flaw kind of thing to show like these people are not 100% perfect, even Steve Rogers. But I think he does respect that Steve has been the best super soldier to come out of it. He
Yeah.
was the best of them. And at one time, Zemo did see the Avengers as heroes. Remember how he mentioned his son being excited to see Iron Man flying through Sokovia and all those
Mhm.
stuff. So I think Zemo feels fooled a little bit too. So I can see his aspect. I think Sam even at one point mentions that you have to put Bucky in this perspective too, because Bucky's got super soldier in him. So I think Zemo even mentions that he wants to wipe out everyone with super soldier, just take them all off the board. And Sam's like, well, that includes Bucky. So it kind of gives Zemo is very much it's very black and white for Zemo. You got
So
super soldier, you're bad, even if you're Steve Rogers. But I don't know. Maybe it's not even that clear. It is strange because he says touche, but he's like, there's only been one Steve Rogers. So I don't know. I can't tell if.
so I think it's the idea of wanting to take it because,
Mm,
Carly and her crew wanting to take it because Steve wanting to take it. Bucky, it was forced upon him. It wasn't his
yeah,
option.
that's
So
true.
Bucky is kind of like an outcast in that way because all these other characters, it was they wanted to. Bucky, he had to. He was forced to take it. So Bucky was used by people who wanted to be supremacists. So he
Hmm.
was still a weapon, but it just wasn't his choice,
Okay.
like that.
I think I think Lamar later puts it the best way, or at least the way that I agree with the most, or how I perceive the
Mhm.
serum effects. And Lamar says that it amplifies what you are as a person. I think that's essentially what Erskine said in the Captain America First
First
Avenger
Avenger.
movie,
Yeah, I think you're right.
because you remember the general wanted to give like this bully guy the super soldier because he was the strongest already. He was a
Yeah.
good soldier, but Erskine wanted to give it to the small guy so that he would know what it means to have power. So I think Lamar kind of echoes that and says that if you are a good person, then the super soldier will just make you better. You'll be able to control that power better. Where if you're a bad person like the Red Skull, then yeah, it just makes you worse. Which I think was even something Zemo said
Yeah.
earlier.
Zemo mentioned that Zemo doesn't want them to be another fraction of gods,
Hmm.
and he sounds like they and that's when that's when Sam said, "What about Bucky? Like you'd be killing Bucky too."
Oh, I meant on the plane like a couple episodes ago
Oh, well,
where
they mentioned that while they're sitting there after like drinking
yeah.
or eating something.
So I don't
Um,
know if they're 100% sure on whether the super soldier serum is inherently good or bad. And
I
I'm not too sure either. I
well,
think it really depends on the
so
person.
I think I so Zemo is 100% it's bad.
Hmm.
Bucky is, I think, on the fence, and Sam, thinks of it as like it can help you become better. But Zemo's even impressed at this idea because I think Sam was offered it by what's her face, Carly. Did she offer it to Carly?
No, Zemo was asking if Sam had ever been offered it,
Offered.
and
Oh, and
Sam
he's
said no.
no, and he wouldn't take it either.
Right, that was the
And
hypothetical, was
yeah,
would you take it?
and then Zemo was impressed with his no hesitation.
Yeah.
And
So I guess they're kind of a little bit on the same page. I
yeah,
mean, obviously Sam's not as extreme as Zemo
Zemo,
is.
yeah.
I think Sam is like, okay, some people have super soldier, let's just make sure nobody else does, and just kind of go from there. Because he doesn't want to kill people over it. But
Yeah, well,
Zemo is
Zemo
ready
wants to,
to,
yeah,
yeah,
off
cross
everybody who
all
has
those.
it.
Yeah, he wants to take them out. So,
But I just think it's a cool idea of the idea of, once you have it, kind of being at the top tier, being a supremacist, wanting to control.
yeah. And I guess that kind of ties in with Carly
Yes.
because she is dancing that line right now of pretty much becoming the thing that she hates, and I think that's most well seen. I think she even starts to realize it when Sam has this conversation with her
Yes.
at the funeral,
Or
and
right after the funeral.
yeah, well, it was a really cool scene in general because Sam does show up during the funeral, and just kind of watching in like the on the second level. I thought it was interesting how Carly's eulogy changed once she saw Sam,
Mhm.
just to kind of show how, I don't know, just the different sides of her. Because before Sam shows up, she's giving a nice eulogy, talking like how Donya was such a a good mother figure, and it was a very personable speech. And then as soon as she sees Sam, she
It changes.
switches immediately and starts giving a speech about their cause and what it means to be like a flag smasher, essentially, kind of as if she's preaching to Sam up there, like
Yeah.
she's
I
only
thought that
talking
too.
to him. So, but that yeah, I guess that brings us to when Sam eventually does confront her. Sam's doing a great job of being on her level and really getting her to open up in this scene.
Well, even so, Carly is a lot like Thanos and Killmonger, and a lot of these new villains that we've seen in
Mhm.
the MCU, where they have good points. She wants the whole world reunited. That's a great point, like a great ambition, a great thing to
Mhm.
want. But the way she's going about it is wrong. Thanos wanted to create, help save lives because if you knock out half the universe, the other half is going to live better. And we saw that. Well, we didn't get to see it, but they saw that. There was no more wars. Everybody got along. There was food for everybody. Nobody was homeless anymore. But killing half the universe is not the right way to do it.
Mhm.
So people have good points. They're just not pursuing it the right way. And that's when Sam calls her out and says she's a supremacist. And she's like, I don't think so. He's like, so with the other, aren't you looking to increase your army to make you guys stronger to know, to be better basically? And she's like, yeah. He's like, so what's the difference?
Mhm.
And he has like, Sam has a great way of talking to people. And I don't know if it's because he was kind of a counselor for people with PTSD that came back from wars, or if Sam's just a great person to have a conversation with.
I think
But
it's both.
but regardless of, yeah, both. But whatever it is, Sam is just kind of getting her to think about, uh, is what she's doing right? Because Sam even says, I agree with your cause, just not the way you're going about it.
Yeah. Which I think is interesting because the whole series so far, we've been made to believe or kind of assume that the Flag Smashers are bad because everyone's
Hmm.
trying to get them. But yeah, it's not that clear. Yeah, I think you bring up some great points echoing how it's not always clear cut. And it is telling that Sam is saying that he is on their side of the cause, essentially just they need to go about it differently. I know what put it into perspective for me, it's I always enjoy hearing insights of like the gap between the 5 years between the snap and the second snap.
Yeah.
Um, because Sam mentions that when everybody was gone, we like the whole world just wanted more people to help rebuild. So the whole world was acting as a unit, and everybody was very accommodating. It wasn't so divided. But then apparently that all changed when the blipped people returned. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense as to why the Flag Smashers are wanting that back. Do you think the Flag Smashers will get that, or do you think their goal is inevitably going to get snuffed out?
I think they're gonna get snuffed out just by, you know, being it's them getting in their own way. They're
Hmm.
creating too many enemies.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so too.
but going back, I wanted to like kind of talk about the you mentioned that everybody's working together in one unit, and I think because when I like they said something and it made me think about that also. And if you think about it, like what if the United States president and the president of Russia don't get along right now, right?
Hmm.
And both of them were snapped away. But the vice presidents of both are like, I don't have a problem with Russia and I don't have a problem with the US. So then they start working together, right? And
Hmm.
that creates, more cohesion. And then but as soon as, the snap got reversed, our president and their president came back and they're like, yeah, we can't fuck with that country again. That's how I kind of pictured it.
Yeah, it
To make it
probably is
more,
something along
easy.
those lines.
Yeah, to make it easier for like for people who don't quite understand.
Yeah. Well, everybody's on the back foot when you lose half of your population. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're just trying to get everything back to running. So yeah, I imagine there's kind of needing a passport to go visit another country, or you just kind of
Uh-huh.
show up and they're happy to have you. So yeah, a very interesting dynamic. It's always cool to hear what was going on in between that time, because we didn't
Yeah.
really get to see that world much in between Infinity War and Endgame. But yeah, did you have more on the supremacist angle?
I thought we were more like the Carly's mental state.
Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
was going with
yeah,
too, but I kind of jumped. But yes, we're talking more on Carly right now. But
yeah.
I mean, that was about as far as her arc right now. I don't know how I feel about Carly. I go back and forth. It's because sometimes I'm like, okay, I get her cause. Her people seem to get really behind her. Kind of a gray area. But then when she bombed that supply depot, that was a little bit different. And now the way she's going about, to get a meeting with Sam, she's calling and threatening
His
Sarah,
sister
which was
and her
was
and Sam's nephews.
and that was a line crossing. Like, I get she wasn't ever going to hurt them, but she wanted to prove a point in that getting Sam to go and to come alone was, you sometimes you have to do the bad thing to get things done, is kind of her perspective, it seems. So it's one thing to call like Sarah and like make these demands even if it's half-heartedly, but then to like really icing on the cake it with like, oh yeah, your boys, I'll come visit them. And she calls out like where Sarah's standing, on the pier, like almost like she's watching them somehow. But yeah, I don't know, it just seemed really cold, like she's still going down that dark path, and I was hoping we would reach some resolution with her and Sam. But
When you said that sometimes you have to do that thing across the line
mhm.
to like get your job done. Do you remember in The Dark Knight when Batman doesn't know how to stop the Joker and he's like and Alfred gives him that story about guys stealing jewels in the
Right,
forest
right.
and they had to burn the entire forest down to stop one man.
Mhm.
Or there was a movie I was watching, and this guy crashed an entire plane to kill one man. It's like
Mhm.
to stop one person, you have to do the unthinkable. Like
Mhm.
burning the entire fucking forest down is going to, hurt Earth as a whole. Less oxygen
Yeah.
is produced. All this is going to happen, but you have to stop this one man. So to get this one thing done, she's willing to. She shows she's willing to cross the line, no matter what the line is.
Yeah.
And it shows because at the beginning she wasn't willing to kill, but now looks like she's so like her back's not even pushed against the wall. She's just willing to go there. She's willing to like walk there. So to help the cause, even if I think she's willing to do it, even if she's not the one to complete it, to connect everybody. But if she has to become like this, and because she doesn't view herself as an antagonist, but if
Mhm.
she has to become this antagonist to get the world to come together, I think she's willing to do that.
Yeah, and that kind of puts me against her right now.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing her as, you know an effective leader. I don't think this is going to turn out well for her. It's weird because the series made me start off thinking, okay, Flag Smasher's bad. Then kind of over like the next couple episodes, I'm like, okay, maybe they're not that bad. Like they have some points. Maybe we've been misled a little bit. Now I'm back to being okay. They don't seem great anymore. Or specifically Carly. Everyone else seems to be. I think even her people seem to be kind of turning on her a little bit, or to be kind of questioning her
Well,
ethics.
well,
At,
even like I think she was like, remember the couple episodes ago that Power Broker said like, "I'm gonna kill you if you don't bring my vials to
right.
me," and like I think she kept that from her team. But I think like even they find out, they're like kind of shocked. They're like, "What are we gonna do?" Like, we have the world coming after us.
Mhm.
These two Avengers, and now we have the Power Broker coming after us, and like she's like, "We're gonna kill them, and then we're gonna take care of them."
Mhm.
And so, like, I think they're not even willing to cross that line quite yet. I think she's willing to do it so they don't have to do it.
Yeah, maybe. I just don't see this working out for Carly, and I think she's taking baby steps, if you want to call it that. I think she's just going to keep getting worse and worse down the lines. And if she's
Yeah,
proven that these negative acts are getting things done, she's going to be feel rewarded in that, and she's just going to keep doing worse things, thinking that that's how she's going to keep pushing her agenda. And I don't see that uniting the world in peace. I think that's just going to cause more and more problems.
I
So
agree.
right now I'm not on Carly's side. I was kind of hoping Zemo might actually take her out, and I was like, well, maybe somebody better will take her spot, if the Flag
Well,
Smashers stay. But
like I said, she has a good point. She's just going about it the wrong way.
yeah, do you think Sam will be able to get to her though? I don't know if maybe that's the arc, is maybe eventually Sam and her will actually get to have a legitimate sit down, and maybe they'll figure something out. Maybe she'll get to take over the GRC or something. I don't know.
I think with I don't think that's possible with the likes of Walker being around, the likes of Zemo being out there somewhere. I
Hmm.
don't think, them just sitting down over lunch talking, trying to figure something out is going to ever happen. I think that's something that both of them would like to happen
Hmm.
because Sam does have connections, to help ease it in. It's not going to flip overnight, and I think that's something that she does want.
Yeah.
And but that like having what she wants would take years to happen, and Sam is probably the best one to go to have that start.
Yeah, but I think he's the only one that can listen and talk to her on that level, kind of unbiased and maybe an outside perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I would like for them to actually get to talk, because yeah, when Sam and Carly are about to talk again, it's interrupted because
Walker.
Walker is busting into the hideout for the Flag Smashers, and I guess that kind of takes us into really the big topic of the
Yes,
episode is really John Walker and a little bit of Lamar. And you mentioned earlier how Lamar is always getting
the
caught.
dams of the distress.
Yeah, that's basically where we're at in this episode. Is he's splits off from John for whatever reason
So
and
I
ends up getting
wrote,
captured.
I wrote, I wrote Lamar. Lamar hears noise. Lamar hears noise and walks away. And like that motherfucker, like if he would have just stayed with Walker, like he'd been fine.
Yeah, why didn't they stick together? This is like a horror trope. Like
Yeah,
you don't split up, and I don't know. He just is going his own way. I do like Lamar a lot, though.
I
As much
never
as we're
liked him.
kind of, you never liked him.
Not once.
I think he should have gotten the Super Soldier. I think he should have been Captain America, because I like him more. As much as he's been kind of ineffective as a fighter and all that, and getting captured, I think as like a human being and a person, I think he personifies more of what Captain America like embodies, because I don't know, he's been such a good support system. He's seems to be good at calling the shots. Or like for example, when Walker's really getting worked up, wanting to, I can't remember exactly. It was before Zemo goes to get like bribe the little girl with money to take them to the funeral. And oh yeah, Sam wants to talk to Carly, and Walker wants to just storm in and take her down, basically. But Lamar is the one that is able to bring John back down to earth and be like, hey, why don't we try talking to her first, like Sam's saying, and then do it your way. He just
So
seems to be John's rock. And
he's John's moral compass.
yeah,
And I
exactly.
think when he dies, John doesn't know right from wrong as easy, and that's when you see him like essentially kill the man with the shield.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just yeah, I don't even know where to begin with all of this. There's so much that goes on in
Yeah.
this one scene, this one fight scene. Yeah, so I mean it's a really good fight scene in that hideout too. Pretty much
Hmm.
everybody's going at it. There's some really good just fight choreography. I always love calling it out because I think they're doing a great job for the most part in the show. Like getting like Falcon using his thruster to like
Yeah,
knock
that's
some guy
really cool.
backwards, and I really like the shield throws. Like I'm really enjoying watching John Walker fight as much as everybody hates John. I'm really interested in a lot of things that he brings, like the way he's ricocheting the shield off of people and
See, I
walls.
think I don't like. I don't know. I think it's just because I'm so team Steve Rogers that like I just like even his shield throws don't look good to me.
Really? They look really good to me. Sometimes I'm like, man, I wish Cap had like some shots like I feel like they're just shot very well. I think they
Yeah.
really got the choreography down. So I don't know, it just looks good. Maybe I've been missing Rogers so much that I'm just like, give me the shield in any format.
Anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, another thing that we see, Sam sees Walker bend metal,
Oh, that's
and
right. Yeah.
Sam's eyes are like, "The fuck?" Like,
Yeah.
when he sees it, and so I think that's just another, you know, like, nobody I don't think Walker wanted people necessarily to know he took the super soldier serum,
Hmm.
but, we see that because he's trying at that time, Lamar's still alive, and he's trying to figure out where Lamar is, so, like, you know, we see him slowly losing it every single like throughout this entire not episode, but this entire scene. He's like, and he's calm at the very beginning, and then you know how they always say like the storm is the worst is like it's quiet before the worst is about
The
to happen.
calm before the storm.
Yeah, there you go.
Hmm.
And like we see him standing there in that like empty room, just kind of looking down. And then if you think about it, like the next scene is like all hell coming through because
Hmm.
that's when he's like, "Where's Lamar? Where's Lamar?" Then he finds Lamar, and then Lamar dies, and then that's when like he kills the guy.
Yeah.
So it's like he was the calmest before like the storm came through.
I guess so. I think it's just the point of him snapping. Lamar was really the only thing keeping him
Yeah,
somewhat, yeah, leveled. I think we're meant to believe that Lamar was the one that inadvertently talked John into taking the super soldier
yeah.
because he just kind of hid it away. They're having that conversation of like, what, is it right to take it? Should you do that? And Lamar was the one that basically said, "Man, we could have saved so many lives in the war had we yeah, had we had super soldier that day or something." We don't know exactly what they went through in the war. I don't think it's ever specifically
No,
stated. But but yeah, that seems to be the point where Sam or where John takes it. We don't even get to see him take it, which is kind
no.
of what the eye opener is, kind of how hard he throws the shield into a wall and
Yeah.
when he bends that metal pipe. Also, I wonder how you take the serum. Is it an injection like Steve, or I'm assuming you just drink
Gulp
it?
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
that's what I'm assuming. But but yeah, I think Lamar. I've been saying like, oh yeah, I like Lamar so much throughout this series, and I should have figured it out that the reason they've built him up to be such a likable character is so that they can take him away from me and make me upset.
Take
Just
away
like,
from me.
yeah, yeah, I miss Lamar, and I can understand why John felt that way. I didn't exactly blame John. I was like, I probably would have been enraged too, and it's like kind of an interesting comparison because the guy that John chases down is Lamar was John's right hand man. This guy is kind of like Carly's right hand man,
And
and
that guy was like, as a kid, I loved Steve Rogers. Captain America was my hero. And then here's Captain America fucking cutting your head off with his shield. Like
yeah,
it's a complete 180.
yeah.
But do
Well,
you
but
know
it
how
kind of is. Go ahead.
hard Walker must have been like swinging at that man to cut his head off while that guy was infected with super soldier serum?
Did he cut his head off? I thought he just stabbed him in the chest a lot.
Everything that I've seen was like he beheaded him.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you see that?
Like on Twitter, I think I saw a YouTube video talking about it.
Oh, okay.
Like I wrote he took his head off.
Okay, I assumed he went more. I think some of it is because this is essentially like the way the shot is framed, the way that he brings the shield up is a callback to Civil War when
Yeah, that's what I
Steve
thought too.
is kind of in the same moment where he can kill Tony if he wanted to, or what Steve essentially does is stab him in the little chest
The
reactor
arc
thing to
reactor,
power down the suit. Yeah.
which
So I
I th-
assumed that John was stabbing him in the chest too, but
see, I thought about that, but I was like, John's not that. John's not Steve. Steve doesn't want to. Steve never used the shield to kill anybody. He always used the shield as a defensive weapon,
yeah, yeah.
to incapacitate people
Okay.
by like knocking them out. But like Walker, he is willing to cross the line. We've talked about on a couple episodes. So I think that was Walker crossing the line because Steve, even when Steve had the opportunity to kill Tony, we knew he couldn't because such a main character for the show on the movie. He
Right.
wasn't going to use the shield in that way. He was going to use it to essentially shut him down so he couldn't continually attack
Right. I think it's just a good contrast between
the two
we keep seeing
characters.
this between John and Steve and
Yeah,
how they use it. Kind of like what you're saying, but yeah, John of course much more brutal and this goes back to the comics and of where essentially a similar thing happened well in that John is viewed to extreme. And here we see him going extreme. I wonder if the super soldier serum kind of there was of course the death of Lamar that really had him snap, but also I wonder if the serum maybe put him more and more on edge. It's tough to
well,
say because John has been increasingly like on edge throughout this
well, you
series.
said you said Lamar said it best. It makes you more of who you are.
Right.
So obviously, he was an unhinged man that was masquerading as somebody who had it all under control.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a
That
good
was
way
a
to put
good
it.
quote, man. If
That was.
we should make an Instagram for just our like little clips, and that'd be a clip right there.
That would be the only clip.
Yeah, that would be the only clip.
But
um,
go
but
ahead.
the other thing I wanted to mention, the episode's called "The Whole World Is Watching" because literally, whatever country they're in, you said it.
Latvia.
There you go. They all everybody's recording him. Like there's like at least 50 to 60 people with their phone out watching, and then Sam and Bucky run up. I'm sure Carly's watching from a fucking windowsill a mile away.
They
Like,
showed her in the crowd. She was watching.
okay, see, I didn't see her. I only watched it once.
Hmm.
So, everybody that's important on this show is watching, but Zemo and the Wakandans.
Yeah, I'm sure Zemo finds out too, though.
I'm pretty sure the Wakandans were watching, just somewhere
Yeah.
hidden. But you know, and that's why it's called the whole world is watching because everybody's watching Captain America lose his shit.
Yeah, and that's a big moment. The last shot too is absolutely haunting, where he's just standing there, and you get the close up of the shield with the blood on it, and
Yes,
yeah, just he looks twitchy too. Like I feel like his
it
fingers are kind of
the
bouncing around his
it's
head's
like
kind of
tainted.
yeah,
Like he tainted the emblem of Captain America with that
yeah. He
one shot.
totally destroyed it. So it's it's creepy. It's I don't know. I as much as everybody hates John Walker and I keep seeing all this stuff about oh John so terrible, he's not my Captain America. We've even said things like that on here.
I know I've said that
He,
like every episode. He's not my Captain America.
he's kind of my favorite character right now in that I'm most interested in his arc. His arc is the most interesting to me.
Well, you're also the person who like you wanted to be the Punisher for a while in your life, and like you wanted
Okay.
like so
That was a long time ago. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm
yeah
not saying that like, oh yeah, John Walker's my Captain America. I'm
no
just saying from like a story perspective, I'm
like I'm not
enjoying watching him slowly like
lose this
unfurl
shit.
into madness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like, but hearing you say that, like, that's no surprise for me because, like, Punisher's your favorite character. Like, anybody who
At
has like
one
a
point, yeah.
yeah, and, like yeah, at one point, anybody who like somehow seemed like they have like a huge loss in their life, you're like, I can get with this person, like
Yeah,
Batman.
I like the tragic characters.
Yeah,
Maybe that I guess you could boil it down to that. I like the tragic characters and John Walker is definitely a bit of a tragic hero right now. So I guess you have kind of crawled into my psyche a little bit.
yeah,
But still, the point remains I'm having the most fun watching John because he is the most I don't know. He's going the craziest route.
I
I
think he
never know
has
what's next for
I
him.
think he's had the craziest of character arcs
Mhm.
because like he started at this super high, like I'm Captain America. He kind of got embarrassed, but then he shot right back up because he got to use like his Captain America powers to get Bucky out of jail.
Mhm.
And then he kind of fell down a little bit when Bucky and Sam broke Zemo out of prison. He was like, "Damn, I was coming here first," but like, and then it fell down even lower when he got his ass kicked by the Dormelage.
Mhm.
Dormelage. He took his super soldier serum, so it kind of even killed because he knew like I could be Captain America now. Like he has super soldier serum, I have it in me now, you know. And then not Bucky, fuck, his Bucky dies and Lamar dies, so he hits like rock bottom, and now he is he killed this man. So like in front of everybody, like this is even in war right now. They're not like in Baghdad or Afghanistan or Desert Storm or you know, this isn't a war anymore. He's not like saving somebody's life with this reinforced helmet like he did 4 times.
Mhm.
He took a guy's head off with the shield, the thing that's his logo, his emblem. So
Yeah.
this is like an all-time low for him.
Yeah, he has no impulse control, is essentially what we're seeing from him. He is not a good Captain America as much as, I don't know, he was made out to be. So yeah, I don't know. I find him just the most interesting in that I'm anxious to see where his story goes because he does have a fall from grace, and then you kind of see him work his way back up a little bit
Yeah.
in the comics. So yeah, I don't know. I'm having fun seeing his craziness play out. I'm not as much interested in Carly. Um, I don't know. She's just not really grabbing me as much. And surprisingly, I always feel like I have less and less to talk about with Falcon and Winter Soldier, even though they're the title of the show. Is just not a whole lot really going on with
I just
them.
think so much happened and they were intertwined with like the bigger picture of the story
Yeah.
versus like, them like there's episodes where it's about Bucky's PTSD and Sam giving the shield away. Like this episode was more about everybody versus just them two. They were intertwined in each of the main storylines,
Mhm.
but the storylines weren't centered about them.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense because there is so much going on. You really got to give ample screen time to Smashers and all the stuff going on with John Walker. So it makes sense to kind of have Bucky and Falcon as our guides through
Hmm.
this madness. And I imagine episodes 5 and especially episode 6 are where we'll get to see them really their arcs finally come to a not come to a close, but from what we've expected to see, Falcon finally feeling deserving of the shield, and Bucky. I guess I'm kind of taking us into the last point of where
Yeah.
the show will end. Is Are you good with moving on
Yeah.
to what we think of the
You
future?
transitioned really well. I was going to ask you,
Okay.
where does John Walker go from here?
Yeah. So I guess so. Yeah. Let's talk about John Walker for a minute. So right now is interesting. He's been slightly predictable from the comics, but then also slightly unpredictable. Um, but basically, this is essentially what goes on with him in the comics. He takes up the Captain America mantle. He's viewed as too extreme, and it's stripped away from him. And this is kind of where he starts to become his own hero or anti-hero, whatever you want to call it. And he takes up the title of U.S. agent at some
Yeah.
point. So I imagine in the next episode, we're going to see probably John Walker facing some sort of hearing or something where they're going to take the Captain America mantle away from him. The government has to respond at this point. Their Captain America mascot just beheaded a dude, killed a dude very brutally in another country and in front of so many people. Yeah, they've got to do something about that. So I imagine he's getting that shield taken away from him in the next episode.
I don't think America's going to take the shield away. I think they're just going to take the title of Captain America away. And I think Bucky and Sam take the shield itself away, and that's when Bucky's like is going to say like, "You need to keep it this time,"
Hmm.
because not just anybody can be Captain America. You were chosen for a reason. You need to take the shield on.
That's true. I could see that. And I guess we have seen in like different trailers and TV spots that Falcon and Sam do end up getting their hands on the shield again.
Hmm.
So
Because
I could see your
Sam's
point.
training with it.
Yeah. So I guess the question would be, is the government giving it back to Falcon, or did they just straight take it?
I think
I agree
they,
with you more that they
yeah,
probably just
I think
took
they
it.
take it from him
Yeah.
and then they don't give it back to the government.
I think that makes sense because I think the government will just wheel out another.
Another guy,
Yeah, like this
another
is
Marine
this
to take it
guy.
over.
Yeah, yeah, no, this guy's a good one. So yeah, I think that makes sense as to what's going on. Um, yeah, as
Um,
far as John Walker from here, I think my guess is that this is not the last that we'll see of John Walker. I don't think he'll be a Falcon and Winter Soldier exclusive. I imagine he'll take on U.S. Agent title and probably show up in different MCU shows or movies
maybe
throughout.
get his own show.
He could, yeah, maybe spin-off show.
Yeah,
I'd watch it. Everybody
yeah.
else hates John, but I'd watch it.
They're gonna look at the ratings like we had one viewing in the Midwest.
Yeah.
um, so our next point that where does the show go from here? The power broker. Before we started talking about this podcast, you brought up a fantastic point that you've actually kind of seen floating around, and I had yet to hear. Could
Oh,
Sharon be the power broker?
yeah, people online are theorizing that maybe Sharon could be the power broker. I'm not personally on board with this idea necessarily, but I've seen like one coincidence in particular that could give some credence to it. And you remember when they're in Madripoor and Zemo, Bucky, and Sam show up at the bar, and you get a glimpse of Sharon with like a hood on, and she kind of ducks away. And
Yeah.
immediately when that happens is when somebody shows up and is like, "Hey, the power broker like doesn't want you here." Or so, I can't remember. So the idea is maybe that Sharon's the power broker, saw them, sent somebody after there, and maybe she's been kind of like manipulating as like a secret power broker.
It,
I'm not really there, but
Another thing is she didn't go. So 2 points that I really thought about while recording this, while you before after you mentioned it. The
mhm.
first point, she she didn't go down into the container with the team. She stayed on the outside. Why? She didn't have to at that time.
That's
She
true.
she said she was going to be a lookout, but she didn't know like people were coming quite yet. You know,
Yeah, I feel like
like because if she was the power broker, Nigel would have known like she was a power broker right away.
yeah,
The second point is,
or Nagel.
yeah, Nagel.
Hmm.
I called him Nigel again. The second point is after that scene, she had like an assistant pull up, bring her a car,
Yeah.
right? Why, if she's on the run, she's doing very well for herself.
Hmm.
Why would she have an assistant though, unless she was like this big bad?
I think she's at least kind of in like an elite structure, and like she lives in Hightown of
Yeah,
Madripoor. I think she's built a good standing for her where she is.
as the power broker.
I don't think she's a power broker. She could be working for the power broker,
Yeah,
perhaps. I mean, I could see it. My reasoning that she's not the power broker, like in the last episode, Sam asked her to, use a satellite and be the Overwatch and monitor Walker, and Sharon's the one that's like, yeah, I see Walker. He's about to breach into the Flag Smashers hideout or whatever, and alerts them to go there. But if she was the power broker, I would think maybe she would want to be late on that information or give Walker the time to go take out. Like, I feel like Sharon's almost helping Sam and the Flag Smashers a little bit at that point.
well, she has every right to help Sam because Sam
Yeah,
promised immunity.
yeah, but
So
I
she
just
could have.
also mean when she want to like somehow use this ability to take out the Flag Smashers at
No,
the.
because if they don't stop this flag smash, she doesn't get her immunity. So she can continue being the power broker while having her immunity and living a dual life.
I guess so, but the power broker's been so gung ho about killing Carly, so
And
I
she
don't
can
know.
kill Carly once she gets her immunity if she's
But I
that
could
powerful.
see, I mean, I could see Sharon funneling some of this information to the power broker. If she does
Hmm.
have a satellite and she's watching the Flag Smashers, she could be like, hey, I know where they're at. Maybe let this thing play out. Or maybe she's delaying information once Sam and Bucky are clear of it. But
I
she could
think
be relaying information back to the power broker.
I think next episode we find out who the power broker is. That's gonna be my big call.
I'm hoping. I thought we would have found out who the power broker is by the middle of the season. Like I thought episode 3 or 4, I thought by now
Yeah.
we would have seen him. That
We're
seems
about
to
to
be
hit
the trend
episode
for
5.
other shows. Sorry?
We're in episode 5, and we have yet to figure out who the power
Yeah.
broker is.
And
But
there's
yeah,
only 6 episodes.
my major call is or my major like theory is we find out who it is next episode. And
Yeah, I
now
would be
that you
down with
mention
that.
it, now that you mention it, I can see Sharon being the power broker.
Oh, really?
I
Okay.
wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I kind of would. I wouldn't be surprised to learn that she's maybe helping in some way, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not fully on the like Sharon's totally a good guy right now. I think she's
Yeah.
blurring the lines, kind of like Black Widow often does.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know what to think of Sharon exactly yet. I don't know. She's like the big mystery for me. I don't know what's gonna happen with her or what she's up to.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, so that brings us to the next point. Sam, where does he go from here?
I think Sam's big arc for the show is that in episode 1 he didn't feel worthy of the shield, gave it up, and just kind of wanted to do his own thing. And I think throughout this series he's having to come to terms. We've seen him kind of go through different arcs where he's like, yeah, I shouldn't have given up the shield, I should have destroyed it. Something even Carly says later, that the shield should be destroyed. And I think where Carly is kind of going to continue down that road, I think Falcon will realize that that's not the correct thing, and he'll finally get past that and realize, okay, the shield needs to be an icon for people, but it needs to be in the right hands. And I think, yeah, the world needs a black Captain America, and it needs to be Sam Wilson because he'll protect it and won't do crazy shit like John Walker. And I'm assuming that's the arc for Sam, is we'll see him take up the shield. The question is when,
Yeah.
and hopefully in a new suit. I think there were some leaked toys that
Well, yeah.
showed a
I
suit.
I think Sam becomes Captain America next episode also,
Hmm.
but not because, I think Sam is going to say, look at, fuck, like, look what Captain America did. Look what Walker did. If I had actually taken the mantle, like, I could have prevented all this.
Yeah,
I could have, prevented this random kid from dying because Sam wanted to do it a very peaceful way. Like, he had almost had Carly, like, in his hands when Walker kicked that door down.
yeah. Hmm.
And so if Walker wouldn't have kicked the door down, this could have been over by now. So I think Sam takes it, but not just because of what the Shield has turned to, and this is killing Steve's legacy as well.
Yeah, I think so. Sam's gonna have to have like a Thanos moment. Oh God.
Oh, my bad.
Saying Sam's gonna have like a Thanos moment where he'll finally be like, "Fine, I'll do it myself." When he
Yeah.
takes the gauntlet or whatever. Yeah. Sam's gonna have to take that shield, and yeah, I think that's essentially where I'm seeing Falcon. I'm nervous that the last couple minutes of the season, like in episode 6, or when we'll see the outfit, is just like a little bit. It's always like the big tease. I feel like they do
Yeah.
that with all the Marvel shows. They kind of did that in WandaVision. Netflix shows were really bad about that, where you get the cool outfit in the
At the
last
end of it,
5 minutes of the whole season. So I would like to see him get it in the next episode and then get to see him kick ass in it through all of episode 6. But I have a feeling that's probably not how it's going to go down.
Yeah, you're probably right.
But
But this leaves for Bucky. Where does Bucky go
yes,
from here?
I don't know that I fully get Bucky's arc right now. I know it's. I mean, he's. Actually, I forgot about was it Nakajima? Is that his name?
I wrote. So where I have Bucky going from here, he has to complete the Nakajima guy,
Yeah, yeah. He's got
and
to fess up.
I would like to see a series for Bucky, a standalone series for Bucky,
Hmm.
but this series shows him go through the decades and all the assassinations he had to do.
That would be cool. And here's one thing I've been thinking. Well, I was most excited for this show to see Bucky Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is one of my favorite characters, and I've
Hmm.
absolutely loved him. The Winter Soldier movie is, very, very high up there in the list of best MCU movies for me. But there's something about the modern, like present day representation of Bucky in this show. I'm just not really getting enough. And I'm really digging Bucky whenever they do flashbacks. when he's in Wakanda and he's, getting freed from the mind control, when he's, the whole Nakajima's son, when he like pops in and he's the Winter Soldier and he's taking out those criminals or whoever they are.
Mhm.
I feel like all of his best scenes, or even in Madripoor when he's supposed to be in the mindset of Winter Soldier and he just kind of delves in and takes out those guys in Madripoor. I feel like he's the coolest when he's in that mode, but I don't know that I'm getting a whole lot from him just in present day. I don't know if it's because he's holding back and he's not trying to be, you know, as brutal. He's trying not to hurt his people and kill as much. But I don't know. Am I the only one feeling? Are you feeling like that too, or
I think Bucky's been fighting for so long that he's tired, and
yeah?
I think he doesn't want to fight anymore. I
Uh
think
huh.
he's only there because Sam's there, and he's not necessarily done with Sam, and he's still trying to convince Sam to be Cap.
Hmm.
So I think that's why he's only essentially in the battle, in the fight. That and because of super soldiers. Um, I think that yeah, I like Bucky. I like his arc. I think his arc though is just, he's tired and he just wants to stop fighting.
Yeah. So maybe that's why I'm not fully clicking. I still love the character and I want to see more of
Yeah.
him. In fact, I wonder. I think at one point in the comics he was part of the Thunderbolts. I maybe need to look that up and double check it. But if that is the case, I know there's been a lot of theories about maybe a Thunderbolts show or movie coming down the line, and I wonder if maybe Bucky could be part of that. I know Hawkeye is even at one point leading that team because in the comics, Hawkeye has a bit of a criminal past before he becomes an Avenger. And some
Mhm.
of the issue thing with the Thunderbolts are that they're almost kind of like bad guys that are trying to uh, maybe I don't know, redeem themselves or kind of be better people, but it doesn't always work out that way. So I wonder if maybe through this, Bucky is like the staple child of like, yeah, you can have this horrible background and become a hero, and then maybe he is part of this team that's trying to do the same. I don't
So
know. Is that reaching?
it is. It makes sense. So fact check though.
Okay.
Bucky found out that from Sharon that she had not really killed the original Captain America. Bucky
Yeah.
was then sent into the custody of the Thunderbolts, who told him that he would be inducted in the group once Rogers was brought back. However, Bucky was secretly freed by Ant Man and then rescued by Falcon.
Okay. So maybe he wasn't fully.
A
I guess he
Thunderbolt,
was. Okay.
more like a few. He was in custody.
Okay. I mean, I could still maybe see them try to wrap him into it somehow because the MCU takes liberties
Yeah.
where they want.
So,
But
this is a little bit off subject, but the fact that I want Bucky to be in a standalone series, I really doubt that'll happen. Bucky, Sebastian Stan, has been rumored and is kind of in talks, not really, but maybe in talks to become Luke Skywalker in a Star Wars series because
yeah,
him and I forget
Mark
the
Hamill.
Mark Hamill looked very similar when Mark Hamill was younger.
Yeah, but I've been seeing memes for that where like fans have been posting about that, but I don't know that that's actually a thing
Well,
going on. And I'm sure he
um,
could do both. I don't think we would lose
yeah, but like
him.
I know, like just think of how much it would like kill him to like, you know, 4 to 6 months you're doing this show, and then you as soon as this is over, you 4 to 6 months doing this show, but then mid filming you have to stop to go to the press tour, and
Hmm.
like there wouldn't be like an off time for him to like venture and do other movies or other series and other like creative outlets.
I don't know. I guess I could see, but I feel like other actors are constantly taking on other projects and just working and
Yeah, but
kind of fun.
no other actors are doing 2 different series, though. They're like they do the one shit series or the one Marvel movie, and then it
Hmm.
frees time to, like, go do another movie or, maybe do a series here or you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
maybe. I don't know, but they're both Disney, like big Disney projects. Maybe
Yeah.
that would be part of the deal is like, okay, we know you're going to be in both of these. Let's weave it a little bit. And Winter Soldier isn't exactly a like big character. Like he's not going to be like Captain America or like, Iron Man or people that are going to have to show up
Mhm.
in all these different series. There's probably going to be some big gaps where he's not showing
Yeah,
up.
but if he had a series like I want, I'm
Oh, I would
saying
love that too. I would
yeah. I
absolutely
just
love
don't
a
know
Winter
if it would work with him being kind of maybe becoming in the Star Wars franchise as well.
I could see it. I
But
could see it
as
still working.
to be that man and be in the huge MCU movies and just the universe, and then to be brought over to the Star Wars, and we know how big
Yeah.
that is. He'd have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, he really would have just that's your whole life's career. Like you can
Yeah,
just do that forever and be set. And you probably retire off of that.
yeah.
Just and yeah, just because he kind of looks like Mark Hamill, the original Luke Skywalker. So yeah, it could work out. I wouldn't be too nervous. I don't think that we would lose Winter Soldier if that were to occur. I imagine it may even help that Disney could maybe balance those two out easily because it's in their house. They can be like, okay, well, we'll set the Luke Skywalker show or whatever here, and then we'll do Winter Soldier
Yeah.
here. Like they're not at the mercy of Sebastian Stan's other show company or whatever.
No, you're right. It would work out, but the
Mhm.
idea of not having like time to yourself and time to like, kind of recuperate and like
Oh yeah, yeah,
that's what would suck for him as,
and
for
yeah,
his
as a person,
yeah.
yeah, as long as it's manageable, yeah. And depends on how much he wants to take on. But I don't even know. I don't know how official that is. Maybe they are talking about things. I've just seen memes. I've just seen fans posting
Yeah,
side by
I
sides and being like, "Whoa, you two look very similar." You know?
so I know did you watch The Mandalorian?
Yeah, but I don't know if all of our listeners have. If
Okay,
you're about to spoil, I don't know.
spoiler alert. So
Okay.
Luke Skywalker pops up in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, big
Huge
spoiler.
big
Okay.
spoiler, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we need like a sound like like
Yeah. You may want
uh,
to put like something ahead of that.
but he pops up and there's huge like oh my god and everything, and then like a huge thing popped up about people wanting a Luke Skywalker series,
Hmm.
and uh people are like Sebastian Stan could play it because, and then Sebastian Stan even commented on it, and then Mark Hamill commented on it, and like
Yeah.
it's kind of like a thing. So I know you've seen memes, but I think I've seen something about like they're in the talks.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not discounting it. I'm just saying I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't want to worry people that are listening that are like, "Oh my god, he's
yeah,
gonna go away." No, I don't know. They might be talking about it. Who really knows? I think it's too early.
yeah.
But I would be happy with a Winter Soldier
I
show if
would
that
too.
were to go. I don't know that
And
that's where we're going. I know Feige has said as far as some shows could get a second season, they're not really
mhm,
planning for it, but some will just be isolated, exclusive
like
season one.
WandaVision, I think is just gonna be a solo. They're not
Yeah,
gonna get a second season,
but
but
something like What If would be a good
definitely get
one for second
yeah,
season. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier would be a good contender for a
I
season
do
two,
too.
just them together in general.
And then
So
we could, because and then seeing Falcon, how his rise to becoming Captain America, because we're seeing the rise, but then actually being Captain America, I think
mhm.
would be like a great arc for him.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's where we're going. And then as far as Bucky's arc, yeah, I guess it's a redemption thing because he's gonna have to
Mhm.
talk to Nakajima and really, I guess, feel the weight lifted from finally letting that out. I thought we would have got that early in the season, but I guess he'll probably return from this fight and head back home, and this will probably be episode 6 where he goes
Re-
and
and
finally
yeah, and tell him.
confesses. So there's that, and I guess it's just the feeling of peace, but I don't know. I don't know that there's. I feel like Bucky's always going to be in some sort of a fight.
Yeah,
So yeah,
physically
maybe
or maybe just internally.
yeah, but I think he'll feel a little bit more at peace once he kind of crosses these names off the list as he's trying. But I think Nakajima's the big one because
I
that
agree.
was an innocent. So yeah, I think that one really really haunts him. But I
Oh,
think that's as much as I have for right now.
yeah, me too.
So yeah, episode 5 will be the next one up. We'll see what's going on there. See how wrong we were
Or how
about
right
him.
we were.
Yeah, maybe.
But we'll see. Remember to check out the YouTube channel. If hopefully they don't copyright me again.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jess?
No, I think that's all for me. I appreciate you all for listening and watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Peace out.